What is up, everybody? My name is Mike with Beach Bum Trades, and today we're going to cover how to draw trend lines. We're going to cover how to identify where to start and stop our trend lines, how to use them, and how we can trade with them. So with all that being said, let's get to some charts. All right, and let's start with the basics. What is a trend line? A trend line is a straight line drawn on a stock's price chart that connects a series of pivot highs or lows to show the direction and speed of its trend, upward or downward. This illustration we have here is a pretty good example of a trend line break. With multiple touch points along the way, we're going to find some of those right now. Typically used on a higher time frame, there's nothing wrong with them being used on a lower one, like the 1 minute. Probably hit that one right there. This may be a little bit of a different example because we are generating one of our favorites, the flag, which we cover in a completely different video. I'll stay on topic, don't worry. What we're going to do is check back in later on this and see how our trend is going, but what we want to do is we also want to check it against higher time frames. It looks just fine on the 5. It looks just fine on the 10. This looks just fine on the 15. Now be careful when you're trading these trend lines on the lower time frames, because oftentimes they will bump out of them and come right back in because you're looking at it on the 1 minute or the 2 minute. What you want to see is it break all the way through, hopefully come back up to touch your line, and then continue downward. This right here would be a break of that trend on a lower time frame. If you're doing this on the 15 minute or the 1 hour or the 1 day, typically a candle outside of that is telling you, all right, we've broke this trend, we're going bullish or bearish. Now let's look at some higher time frame stuff here. Let's go to the 1 hour. And typically when you're generating your trend lines, you can create a channel for yourself, which is your top and your bottom. I'm not sure where to put it on this one here. See, we have multiple touch points along here, multiple touch points along the bottom, generating our nice outward cone. This moat being as wide as it is, I would really prefer just to use a top trend line to mark out areas of resistance. You can see in the past here, had a very lovely bullish run up to this point. This doesn't typically mean that this is a full break of that. So as you can see in here, we have lots of areas of resistance, lots of areas of indecision. And you can see where we even made an attempt to break out of that for an overnight session. And then New York brought us right back up into it. Now, there's nothing wrong with adjusting your trend lines off a more recent high, like this one. Or even this one. On a larger time frame. What you're doing is you're creating a smaller moat for yourself. You're creating an area where, all right, price is broken into here. What are we doing? I've come up here, I've set my alert, right? And I said, go look at your charts, Betty. I forgot a no there, but you get the idea. So now what's going to happen is this is going to bump this trend line, and I'm going to go, all right, time to log in. And that login may be 6 a.m., maybe the afternoon, maybe 6 p.m. I don't know. But if you are a swing trader, you are typically bound to when you break your trend lines as that swing trader. Coming back into our tighter time frames here, we are back on the 5 minute. I mean, really, this would be a great place for it to come up, touch, and either reject or break into our moat. And our moat is a bit of a no-go zone. It's a bit of a degen zone. What we really want to see is if we're going longer term, we want to see it break both of these. We want to see it bust through that ray and tell us, baby, we are bullish. Let's go. Look at this. We are back a few minutes later. We have broken our trend line that we drew previously, indicating a point of entry, reaching our second trend line, which was our larger one, if you recall. And for me, that would be a partial or full exit. So we played our trench pretty well, and boom, a real-time successful trend line break. You know, it's hard to beat an example like that. I was planning on trying to go back through months of charts to find this, but it happened in front of us real time. Hey, thank you everybody again for watching. If you got questions, comments, concerns, anything, all my socials are in my YouTube bio. Just message me on Instagram or TikTok. You can hit me up on Discord if you just want to chat BS or talk stocks. I'm always available. Just holler at me. Appreciate you guys. Stay safe. Have a great Thanksgiving. Spend some time with your families. We out of here.